Sullivan. How are you, Annie?
I'm doing really well. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am thrilled to finally talk with you. We met once before in real life, but we've never sat down for a nice conversation about writing, so this can be fun.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it.
So probably the best place to start is if you wouldn't mind giving the esteemed audience kind of an overview of your career in publishing thus far. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Annie Sullivan. I'm the author of 2 young adult books. One is called A Touch of Gold, and I'm holding it up right now in case anyone's watching. They can see the beautiful cover. And that one was just published last year in 2018 in August. So it's just about a year old, just had its 1-year birthday. And that one is about the cursed daughter of King Midas, who has to set out to retrieve her father's gold when it gets stolen. And then I have a new book coming out, Tiger Queen, technically comes out September 10th, which is really, really soon if you're listening to this right when this podcast releases. So super excited. Tiger Queen is about a desert princess who has to fight in an arena against suitors to win her right to rule. It's a retelling of a short story. It's a whole lot of fun. I've been trying to get published for, I don't know, I'd say probably maybe 8 years when I finally got published. So it's been a long, hard journey, but glad that it's kind of come to fruition and that I've got books out there and that now I'm talking to all of you.
So, and congratulations. That's huge. 1 year later, here's book 2. And I know that there's a third book on the way at some point, right?
Yes, third book. I think it's tentatively scheduled for October of 2020. So it's a book a year. It's a hard schedule, but I'm making it work.
You are never going to sleep again, but thank God, we're going to get great books.
I'm sorry for anyone who's watching this. Like, you could probably see the bags under my eyes because I don't sleep a lot as it is because I go to work and I come home and I write and yeah. So sleeping is kind of optional.
So 8 years. How many, if you don't mind me asking, how many books did you write prior to Touch of Gold?
Well, it's kind of an odd story in that Touch of Gold was actually the first book I ever wrote. I wrote it while I was at Butler getting a master's degree in creative writing, and it was my master's thesis. But in an odd turn of events, I sent it out to try and get an agent, and it did not get me an agent. It was my, I believe, my third book that got me my agent. And then that book didn't sell on submission to publishers. So then my agent, who had actually rejected A Touch of Gold back when I sent it to her like 2 years prior, was like, what else do you have? And I was like, well, I have this book that you actually rejected. Do you want to see it? And she was like, all right, let's look at it. So I completely revised it. I took it from like third person past tense to first person present tense. I completely revamped the plot, just kind of kept some of the general details, and we really reworked it. And yeah, we sent it out and ended up getting a book deal. So I had written about 3 books by the time I finally got a book deal. And one of those books was, in fact, Tiger Queen that I had written in the meantime, but Tiger Queen was not the book that didn't sell. So it's like, it's so complicated. It's like you have all these manuscripts lined up, and sometimes it's the right time for one, and sometimes it's not. And sometimes, you know, the agent likes it, and then sometimes they reject it, and then they like it a year later. So publishing is such a crazy business. And so if you're out there trying to get published, like, just stay with it. It's hard, but you can do it. It can happen. It takes the right timing and the right book.
And you, if you don't mind saying, let's plug your agent. Who is your literary agent?
Yes, my agent is Krista Heschke with McIntosh and Otis, and I love her. She always goes to bat for me. She always asks the hard questions that I'm too timid to ask. So really love working with her. She's great with, you know, character. I love plot. Plot is like my thing, but she's really strong with character and making sure the characters are really strong. So we work really, really well together.
So what kind of character revisions does she typically give you then?
She's always like, let's look at their motivation and let's look at the decision that they make here and let's really think about this arc and how it, you know, kind of pans out and all that good stuff. So she's really thorough, really great at looking from start to finish, you know, what's happening, how is this character developing, which is good because I am always just like, let's just have fun and see where they go. And she's like, let's have them grow too. And I'm like, all right, they can grow, I guess.
If they have to.
If they have to, yeah.
And so one type of story that esteemed audience never gets tired of is, how did you meet your agent? How did you secure this fantastic representation that's landed you a book a year deal now?
Yeah, so like I said, I actually did query her with A Touch of Gold, and she rejected it. And then about a year, like a couple months, it was only a couple months, because I had almost 3 books ready to go when I kind of started querying agents, because I write pretty quickly. She actually was having a contest on her blog that I found out about Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter, because so many of the agents are on Twitter. So I definitely recommend that. But she was having this blog contest where you just entered like your first 250 words, and she was randomly going to select a winner. But she had gone through and read all the entries. And so even though I didn't win, I'm doing air quotes here, didn't win, she liked mine enough to ask me, what I'd like to see more. She asked me for more, and I was like, oh, of course. So, and I think we might get to this later, but oddly enough, I was on my way to Antarctica when this happened. So it's she asked me for like 25 pages. So I sent those 25 pages, and then I told my sister. I had left my sister with like a manifesto of like its own book of instructions on like, here's what to do. I need you to check my email address while I'm in Antarctica, because I'm not going to have the internet for like 2 or 3 weeks, and if an agent comes calling, I need you to like know what to do. So my poor sister had to like pretend to be me, and I've told my agent that she knows. Because my agent came back after after those 25 pages, and she said, I love this. I want the next, I want all of it. And so my sister sent her all of it, pretending to be me. And then my agent came back and was like, hey, I'd love to have a call with you. And my sister had to kind of come clean and be like, hey, I'm Annie's sister. I'm monitoring her account. She'll be back soon. She's in Antarctica. And so that's kind of how that happened. So I got back from Antarctica, I got to Argentina, like the southernmost city in the world. I checked my email on this like shady email connection, and found out that I had an offer of representation. And like my parents were like, they were with me on this trip, and they were like hanging out somewhere else in the airport. And I turned to this like random guy next to me, and I'm like, I have an agent. There's an agent who wants me. Like, he's like, okay, weird girl, like, good for you. Like, it was really weird. But anyway, so that's how I found my agent, was from a blog contest, oddly enough.
And what was the blog that held the contest?
I think it was just her own blog. She had just mentioned it on Twitter. She's like, hey guys, send me your first 250 words, and I'll randomly pick a winner who maybe won like a query critique or something like that. So definitely check out agents' blogs, because they tell you so often, here's what I want, here's what I'm looking for, all that kind of good stuff.
So 8 years, and when the miracle finally happens, you're in Antarctica.
I know. It was a long journey. And I mean, I think that 8 years does include, after having the agent, that revising time, and the first book not selling, and then revising the next book and trying to get that one to sell, because it's such a long process. I mean, it can take months to hear back from editors sometimes. And so then you're hearing back and it's a no, and then you send out to more editors and you wait another couple months and it's a no. And so yeah, those years just add up really quickly.